All right, what's up, everybody? Excited to bring you this special episode of Angles with John Richmond. Got the opportunity to sit down with Richmond Vona's brand new Director of Marketing and Brand Strategy, Brad Gelber. I think you're going to find it really interesting, whether you're a business owner and you want to learn a little bit about marketing, things you should do, shouldn't do, or just interested to hear about kind of like the marketing world and his journey to where he is now. He's got an impressive past, and we're super excited to have him here. And we talked about a lot of things, not just business. It was about being a dad and everything we learned from that. It was pretty great. Check it out. And as always, this episode is brought to you by Richmond Vona Personal Injury Attorneys. When the unexpected happens, expect Richmond Vona. All right, man. What's up?
How you doing?
Welcome to Richmond Vona.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited.
So, I mean, it's your first week at the firm.
Yep.
You and I have got to know each other for a while. It was when I tell people about recruiting you to come over, I call it courting.
Yeah, for sure.
But for those of you listening or watching don't know, Brad is our new Director of Marketing and Brand Strategy. We're super excited to have him. You probably recognize him from West Her, his previous employer. But I don't know, man. Like I was thinking about like how I wanted to kick this off with you.
Yeah.
I think it actually would be interesting for people to hear a little bit about your journey, because it's interesting how you've developed such a wide range of skill sets within the industry or within like the marketing industry, and you wear a lot of hats, but you're pretty dialed in on a lot of different things. Like how did you kind of like walk your way up to this point?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for the warm welcome. And, I'm super excited to be here now. I think it's cool because, like you said, the courting thing, and I've thought about this, talked to people, and it's sort of one of those things where you don't really realize like what it feels like maybe to be courted or valued in the way until like someone wants you to come work for them, and then it's a cool feeling though. It's like you don't experience that much in life. Like I think we all get into a grind mode, or like you're somewhere for a long time. I was at Western for 9 years, and it's like you sort of just not that you're taking it. They don't appreciate it, but it's just more of like, oh, we're used to it now. Like you sort of lose sight. It's the new flashy thing. So it's like, it's cool when you're like valued in that way. I think for anyone that's sort of like contemplating like, oh, a career change or an adjustment like that. But yeah, my background is super interesting. I kind of like, I grew up in the area here. I left for school in Boston, came back to Buffalo after. And I was always super interested in sports. I remember doing a project when I was in middle school in Home and Careers. We had to pick a career that we wanted to look into. And I remember I was like, oh, for sure, I know what it would be. I would be a host on SportsCenter on ESPN. I'm like, that's it. Like Stuart Scott, like those guys, I was like obsessed, like Alex Van, all these people. I was like, yeah, this is the stuff I'd want to do. And I remember doing the project and looking into it, and I was like, wow, like I didn't understand the career trajectory. If you're not like one of those national guys, like it's hard to make a living like doing that. And I was like, well, like, no full transparency here. My parents were both lawyers too, so I'm no stranger to this industry. But I was sort of I saw what a successful people's careers look like, and I was like, I don't know, like, so if you don't make it at the top level, it's hard to make a living. So I was like sort of in my head like, well, what else could I do that still involves communications and all this sort of thing? So in high school, I joined DECA, which was the business club. I absolutely loved it. Like you got to go to do competitions. It was all about like marketing and business. And I'm like, okay, like I think this could maybe be like a piece of this. Now, remember, I'm not super old, but I'm not super young, to the point like this is predating like most social media, like MySpace was around and stuff, but it wasn't like, there wasn't the technology there is now. Right. So it was really like, okay, you kind of have to pick one or the other thing. So I started getting into like blog writing in college a little bit too. And I had this blog, and I would write about the Sabres mainly because I was a huge Sabres fan. Like I was stuck in Boston where I went to school, but I was like still all about the Sabres. So I wrote this blog, and I was like, all right, no one was reading it, probably except my family. But I was like just writing. These were like long blogs. I'm not talking like a couple paragraphs. Like these were like take you like 15 minutes to read them. And I was just like, I love this. Like I love writing about sports. I love like this whole component. So I just like wrestled so long with this of like, do I want to do this like broadcast journalism path, or do I want to go into marketing? So when I graduated, I ended up joining a agency out in Boston that was specialized in social media at the time. And I really got my feet wet in like what it meant to manage social media from like a business perspective. Because everyone, that's the funny thing, right? In marketing, it's like, oh, I can do marketing. Like, I know social media. I use it myself. I'm on Instagram. What's so hard about it? It's like, okay. But like the difference between doing your own personal social media and a business's social media is very different. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right. So I got my feet wet in this, and it happened to be in automotive, not even on purpose. It just was. The client was Sonic Automotive, which is a top 10 auto group in the country. So like, all right. So I got this experience doing that, and then I decided I'm going to move back to Buffalo. Like everyone seems when they leave, they come back here. It's like this nature thing. But so I came back and I joined a local startup here that was actually myself, the owner, and one graphic designer. We were working out of his living room in his house in West Seneca. So like true startup, not just like we have a small office. Like legit, his wife would get home from work and be like, "Hey guys," and like she's in the kitchen and we're trying to like take calls and stuff. So again, I was managing social media for some pretty big businesses in Buffalo, like Mark Croce's properties, like the Buffalo Chop House, Statler, all those. Northtown Automotive happened to be one of my bigger automotive clients. So working on some pretty like substantial accounts that I was like, at my age, you probably wouldn't think I would be working on, but like social media wasn't really happening here yet. It was still in like the bigger cities. Like there wasn't someone to manage a business's social media. So we saw this opening in the market. And I did that for a few years, and I was just like, okay, like I'm really finding my groove in marketing, but I'm still missing like this other calling that I felt. So I was like, I'm going to see what's going on out there. And then I ended up having an opportunity to join a TV station locally, Channel 7 in Buffalo. And I was like, all right. So I was like, I'm young, like I can make a pivot. This is still a startup phase. Like I was something more established. So I worked in media for a couple years doing like digital media, some on-camera stuff. I ended up a local TV show here on a station called WBBZ locally here. I did Fred Jackson had a TV show. I was on the show with him. I would take like live social media questions and stuff. So I started like seeing like, okay, like I can do both probably. I can find a way to still do some sports related media stuff and also marketing, but they still were so separate that I was like living these two identities. And like all of a sudden that, you know, I've had a pretty decent following on Twitter, now X, for a while now. I think I have like a little over 30,000 followers on there, but I was like building my Twitter following as this like media person, even though I wasn't like fully in media.
Right.
So it was this weird like double life almost, right? And then like one thing paid the bills, one was like my passion project.
Right.
And then I kept going with it, and then I realized like media is like really hard. Again, like back to my middle school self to like actually have a life. Like I was working till like midnight most nights, like because the way the news would break out at the 11 o'clock news, I was like, my schedule was so off from anyone else. I'm in my 20s. I'm like, how am I ever gonna like meet a girl? Like, how am I gonna go on a date? Like at 9 a.m. on a Sunday? Like it's just like I was like my personal life, like it was hanging in the balance. So I'm like, all right. And that's honestly where West Her came into play. I, you know, being a confident 20-something-year-old was like, I see an opportunity to help some local businesses again. And I sent my resume out to a bunch of CEOs, like as like a 20-something-year-old, like, hello, I think I can help your business in XYZ. So at the time, Scott Beeler like sent my resume over to Matt Lasher, who was the marketing director at the time. Still super close to him. He's been one of my mentors, but he was like, hey man, like reached out to me. He's like, you want to go grab coffee? I was like, okay, yeah, like sure. And we ended up getting coffee like 5 or 6 times. And I've told you this before. It's kind of similar to like how you and I started our relationship. I was going to say, it sounds eerily
familiar.
Where it was like, hey, we don't have a job opening posted, but I really want you to come. I think you could help us. And it's like crazy the parallels I've seen with us of like, hey, like we're not actively like openly recruiting for this role, but I think you could help me or help us. Yeah. And like that was 9 years ago. So it was like I started there really in mainly a social media like marketing coordinator role, and I had 5 or 6 roles over the years. Most recently, marketing director there, and you know, I've learned a ton. It's changed, but as technology and time changed, you know, I'm no stranger to a podcast. Did that at West Her for a bit, and all of a sudden, I felt like I could take the passion of like the on-camera work or the media side that I had been kind of media trained over time and like apply it to like the modern world of marketing and how I could help a business with that. And the same way you guys do that here, you see the value in it. So it was like all those years of like worrying which career field do I go in, how do I make this work, it was like, okay, they ended up in the same way, kind of running into one another, and now it's kind of like what is part of who I am too. So.
Yeah, I think, you know, a couple of things you said that I want to touch on, but with that most recent comment, like, I think we all as younger people sometimes can get like antsy, and even I think we end up thinking like, I don't know if you feel like this way, but when you're younger, like when I looked at, so I'm 41, I looked at a 41-year-old when I was like 20, I'm like, they got it all figured out.
Right.
And in reality, everyone's just like, you may like now, like we both collectively know what we want to do and the trajectory we're on, but we're always constantly working to get better, to figure things out. And I think it's a testament to just staying the course and being curious and not being unwilling to like test new things out. Because then oftentimes that's how you actually truly figure out what you want to do. Was it ever scary, like pivoting like that early on? Did you feel like, oh no, like I'm not, maybe I thought I was just going to be on this like very linear trajectory and now it seems a little off?
Yeah. If you know me, like growing up, like I sort of always wanted to have the answers. Like I went to school, like graduated, like with a really good GPA. I was the one that had a job before I even like graduated. Like my friends were still figuring it out, and I was like I got this. Like life's good. Like I'll figure it out. I know. I never at any point thought I would be the one pivoting. Like I was like, I'm just gonna go into a traditional ad agency. I'm gonna work there and move up to this role and this role and this role, and that'll be my life. It's all laid out for me. And I think the way it didn't work like that has been so beneficial to me. And I talk to people all the time, whether it's interns I've worked with or younger people in their careers, and it's like, you know, almost it's like that that mode that you have to stay the same place forever, like doesn't exist anymore. It's like, and probably for good reason, is because people that's where the employer sort of wins, right? It's like they know no one's ever going to leave. So it's like you get taken advantage of, whatever. Obviously, ideally, you find the right place for you early on and you get to grow there, and it's great. And that happened to me at West Her. But I think like that's sort of the thing where it is scary, because you're like, well, is it going to look like I'm not committed, or like I can't stay the course anywhere, and that they got to worry about me walking out the door every 6 months. So there's like this balance of, I think as a young professional, of not seeming like you can't commit to something, but also knowing value for yourself long term. And I think for me, I found that after a little bit. I think, you know, you don't want your resume to just be every 6 months you're at a different company, but I think people kind of anticipate early on it's going to take you a bit to find your calling. And then hopefully then you can sort of, you know, I was at somewhere for a very long time. Now I hope to be here for a very long time. So like at this point in your career, not saying you shouldn't still make changes if you have to, but I think if you can be more confident in who you are what you want to do, like you said, we sort of know now, it makes it a little easier. Yeah,
for sure. I always, you know, sometimes I talk about this stuff. Like I actually recently wrote something about this on LinkedIn about like red flags in the hiring process. But you know, there's no question. Like a lot of people would say like, okay, one of the red flags we look at is like a job jumper. But there's a difference. Like if you're a younger person and, you know, you spend a couple of years here, a couple of years here, whatever it is, and you can do this in your resume, and then hopefully you get the interview, you can explain like it's intentional. Like I learned this stuff here and I was so grateful for this, but then I realized to take myself to hopefully get into a room like this, I need to learn this skill. So I went here, and then I learned this stuff and I went here. And now that's like kind of what brought me here, and I wouldn't be sitting here unless I had all those different experiences. And I think there's also like something good about when you talk to somebody and they really understand who they are and what they want, like out of like a workplace culture or like their career, is important. And also, I'll say it's interesting because you're right. Like it's back in, you know, like our parents' age, right? Like oftentimes people would just be at one job their whole career. That's really rare. I look at that as a challenge to be like, hey, we want like our best people, like our key players, and hopefully everybody, because we have such a great team, to like we want them to realize if they want to, they can be here their entire career. And it's because we work together to constantly challenge ourselves to grow this into something bigger than any of us can imagine. And that leads to more opportunities for people, and you just continue to grow. So you don't, because I think that's the problem, is like people feel like they hit a ceiling places. Like, where do I go from here? Right.
Yeah, I think especially depending on your field, you know, law is probably no different, but you have like certain senior attorneys probably that have been somewhere a long time. Well, I can't leapfrog them. So until they move up, I can't move up. And that's like the sentiment, even in marketing or in an agency world. It's like, all right, well, I'm an account executive. I can't become a senior account executive. So I got to go to this agency. The agency world has tons of jumping, like jumping between. But companies, I think for sure, it's probably the reasons are you don't feel valued or you don't see upward trajectory for yourself. And honestly, like that was part of why I wanted to come here. Like you and I met, and it was like one of those things where I saw such a bright future, not only for the firm, but like for me as a professional, as a person. And at this point in my career, like, you know, just like you, I recently had a baby. He's a little over 4 months now. And like, you're thinking about that too. Like I told you that I was like, hey, like, I got to know this is going to work. Cause I got a young baby at home. Like my wife's at like all this stuff. And it's like part of it's putting your trust in someone as a person, which is a testament to you and the firm. But it's like people want to feel valued. They want to feel like they have a career growth, but they also want to feel like safe that like tomorrow you're not going to put a sign on the door that says like eviction notice, we're out of here. Like we couldn't make it work. So I think I think hiring and like job, all that stuff that goes into a business is fascinating. I think it's like, I've always enjoyed being part of the hiring process because you get, it's like psychological. There's so many things that go into it. But I think you would attest to it's very rewarding. Like you said, when you get to a place with a team where you're like, like we didn't know if these people would all work well together, but they do. And that's such an awesome place to get to where it just happens to work and it works and it's like harmonious, like it all works together sort of thing.
Yeah, that's actually one of, like we were talking before, like it's one of the coolest things from my perspective is seeing such a close-knit unit like work together, support each other. It's so collaborative, but also like seeing people grow. It's really cool. I mean, we have a lot of people here. I know that they would say this, like they've now grown into positions or are growing into positions that maybe they never even imagined like they would be in. And like, so we take a lot of pride in helping people like being flexible and helping people reimagine like their career paths like within the firm. And I will say too, like talking about like, so we obviously, I met you a while ago. I never actually had met you in person. You helped me out with something over the phone. And I'm like watching you. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I don't know if you'd be interested. I was like, but worst case scenario, I just get to know him and, we become friends and we can learn from one another. And I will say that I much prefer, you can't do it all the time. Like that style of, we'll say like recruiting or hiring, whatever you want to call it. And I will say too, like for anybody listening, like there's no doubt, like being recruited or sought after is a very, very good feeling. Like I've had that. You do have to be careful to check that feeling. And really go through a process to make sure it is the right fit for you and to check all those boxes. And you were very deliberate about that, which I appreciated because like for us, right, this needs to work from both sides. Right? Like both people and the organization, the person, other people involved, like need to agree like, hey, this works for all of us. And like, this is going to be like a joint venture going forward. And you should take your time with it. You shouldn't rush, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And I think like, I've been involved in that too, where you're trying to bring someone on and it's like, hey, like, don't let the high of it get in the way of like the practical nature of like, this is a job at the end of the day. Like hopefully a fun job, you enjoy it, like it's passion, all that stuff. But like, everyone enjoys the process. When you sit down and you're truly like, okay, am I going to do this? Like, that's when it's hard. That's when it's like, especially in my, you've been somewhere for a long time, you've established stuff, you've built a whole thing. And then it's like, I really enjoy getting to know John. It's really exciting, but it's like, can I see myself actually doing it? And that's where you need to sit down and like, give yourself some space, which you gave me a lot of space of like, you weren't pushing me hard. I'm like, I need an answer by tomorrow. But like we met for coffee a couple different times. I asked you a bunch of questions. We had calls, texts, whatever. And that's like, again, a testament to you as like understanding. Cause some people are just like, yes or no tomorrow or by the end of the weekend. And it's like, okay, but it's like my career and my life. Give me a moment. But like there's such a difference in going through it that way versus applying like to a job opening where you're competing with 100 other people. Does your resume stick out to, you said before, enough to get that meeting or that call to differentiate yourself? It's so hard to do. Whereas like organically, like I told you, this isn't the first time this happened for me this way. Like, yes, last time I was more proactive in seeking out the opportunity, but like I got to know who my, supervisor would be in that situation. I got to know the company a little bit. It was more casual. And then they were like, hey, we want to have you join us in this role, similar to you, of like you and I were just meeting, talking about podcasting and marketing in general. And like, it allows you to look at someone not as like your future boss, but instead as like an equal or a friend, and be like, yeah, like we really see eye to eye on this stuff. And that's so important, especially in marketing of like where it's creative, or it's like, it's part art, part science, right? It's like, there's this creativity to it, but you got to be on the same page to understand what the value is there. And if you don't have that, then it's like, that's going to be tough. So like with you, it was like you and I right away were like, yep. Like we were aligned in so many ways that it was like, wow, it would be cool to work with someone like that. And then it was like, hey, we want you to come work for us. And then, it's just like a natural way that it happened. Obviously not everyone can get a job that way, but if you are afforded an opportunity like that and it's the right fit for you, I don't think there's like a better way to like go about it than that.
Yeah, I agree. So you and I spent a lot of time, like we've talked about specific things that we're really excited about that we're going to do here. We've talked a lot of like high level, almost like philosophy kind of stuff when it comes to marketing. I think a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are entrepreneurs or business owners. Like we just tend to have some people because like the nature of the guests.
Sure.
I don't know the best way to ask this. I'm just going to say, like, what is like your philosophy or like your approach to marketing? Like, that's kind of an open-ended question. You can take it anywhere you want.
I truly feel that marketing is an opportunity to put your true self forward. And we've talked about authenticity is like this word of like, a lot of people don't do that with their marketing. They try and like smoke and mirrors, hide behind stuff, like whatever's popular or, seems funny or what they think will drive results. But instead of just like opening the doors and being authentic to who you are. So to me, like the thing that's attractive to marketing, which was always with journalism, is like the storytelling aspect of it, telling people's stories, telling the businesses stories, the employees that work there, their stories. And if you do that the right way, people want to do business with you, whatever business it is. Buy a car, service a car, come to you if they're in a car accident, whatever the reason is for your business. If you do marketing the right way, I think you're communicating your core values or who you are as a company, which again is like parallel to like why you'd want to work somewhere. Like you want to work somewhere where your core values align. I want to do business with an institution where my core values align. Maybe sometimes I just want the cheapest price on something or whatever. But like oftentimes, especially in a situation where, as we've talked about, scariest moment of your life, you get in an accident, something happens to you, you need legal representation. Like that's when you want someone in your corner that you believe is the right person. I don't, the price thing might matter on Amazon if you're buying like a Christmas present, but here, like, again, I know that's where it matters is like, who are these people? Like, what do they believe in? And I think marketing, especially somewhere like this, that's what you're trying to tell people about. So to me, like, that's what marketing's best served as. I always, people ask me too, like, what about social media? Like, cause that's where my background was before everything else. It's like, well, what about social media? Like how do you view it as being like a value to a company, or like, what's the ROI on social media or all this stuff? Like, everyone wants to put attribution on everything. It's like, to me, like in the simplest terms, social media is social media. Like, you're literally a place you can go online and engage with other people. And I always talk to people about this. Like, if we're having a conversation in real life, we're grabbing a coffee and all I'm doing is talking about myself just for an hour straight, you're like, oh my God, like, please be quiet. Like, I'm done. I'm not having coffee with this guy anymore. But on social media, that's all we do a lot of times as people, is we just talk about ourselves. Like, here's this picture of me. Here's a picture of my family. Here's a picture of what I'm doing. But we're so not good at the reciprocity aspect of it, of like the engagement. The engagement's almost more important than what you're putting out there. And to me, for social media, it's like, if we're proud of where we work, like Richmond Vona, you're proud of what you do, you're proud of your community efforts, you're proud of what you stand for, like, utilize the platform. All you're doing is in a place where people are already engaging. Let's talk about that stuff. And I think it can get so complicated beyond that, but the most simple presence, that's like what social media is there for as a business entity. And then like being conversational two ways of like, hey, this person's commenting on your stuff, like we comment back to them. It's like a two-way conversation.
Yeah.
And I think marketing in general can be that storytelling aspect. So that's how I look at marketing. I know obviously there's way more to it, but on the most broad sense, that's why I got into marketing, and that's what I truly feel is the value of marketing.
Yeah, I think too, especially in this day and age where, attention is like almost like our scarcest resource.
Yeah,
and there's so much competition in any industry you're in. Obviously in our industry, we always talk about it's super competitive, but when you're thinking about that, obviously, because you have to think about that, like how do we earn the trust of of our community, but simultaneously, like how do we get their attention and somehow stick in their brain for longer than a split second because they're just being fed thousands of ads a day. Do you think about like the attention grabbing stuff, or is it more like let's just stay true to who we are and who we believe and we know we are, and then the attention thing will kind of take care of itself?
I think it's less about being attention grabbing for the sake of being attention grabbing, and I truly do believe it's being intentional to who you are, but I think that's where you decide what's the mechanism, right? So like all the time now, like I'm constantly thinking about like what's the next thing, and it feels like we're sort of in the moment now where like influencer marketing at the level of like social media influencers is becoming sort of this thing, which national brands have been doing forever, but on a localized level, it's like who are the people in the community that have a voice that we can partner with to show we are authentically in the Buffalo area, like true, like Buffalo roots, like community aspect, and partner with them in a way that's authentic, not cheesy spokesperson, like standing on the screen, like come on down today sort of thing. Yeah. That's the stuff that excites me about like the next wave. Cause it's like, hey, now it's not just, yes, there's still a place for us to take a picture or shoot video or show the stuff we're doing in the community, because that's important, right? Like that was a big piece of what I did at West Terre, showing all the stuff they do in the community. That's what I want to do here and showcase, because it's happening and we want to do more of it. So that's important too. Yeah. But also from an attention standpoint is like, okay, if we're going to show it on social media, can we partner with the right person that has a following? Or can we do things that authentically people want to engage with, and that's where the amplification comes from. Not just like, hey, I'm going to do this TikTok dance because it's trending and that's going to make us stand out. Like maybe there's a place for some of that, but I think mostly that's just the entertainment aspect of it. But really, truly, I feel like, especially on a local level, when you're not a national brand, where you're not trying to get everyone under the sun, very specific. It's in these communities, XYZ, or it's like this sort of thing. I think it's much more important to be intentional about who you are, and then from there choosing the right mechanisms to amplify that to people. Yeah, for sure. And then finding alignment, with the people you're working with, right? I think sometimes I see people, it's like I don't understand, there's no parallel at all between this person that you're doing this with. I know you guys doesn't make sense.
Like, that makes no sense. You're doing it just merely because they have a large following. Gotta be careful with that. For totally. Sure.
And I think too, like geeking out marketing wise, like I still think there's a place for like all different forms of marketing. Like people look at me and assume I'm younger, my background's on digital. Like I think everything should be digital first. Like there's still a place for like a TV ad or a radio ad or a billboard. Like the thing about marketing is it works in conjunction with one another. It's like a tire with the spokes on a tire. Everything's got to go together to make it work. So yes, you can lean heavier into certain avenues of marketing, but I think the mistake people often make is they allow their opinions to just dictate, well, I don't ever listen I can't remember last time I turned on the radio in my car. No one listens to radio anymore. It's like, well, actually Nielsen just did a report that said 64% of people still listen to AM FM radio when they're in the car. Buffalo's probably even higher than that because we have a different demographic. It's like, but I don't, so I'm going to tell my marketing team not to do radio anymore. It's like, hold on, let's look at the numbers. Like that's what's the cool part to me about data is it can be actionable. Now, it can't always be related to data. Some of it's a gut thing, which you and I have talked about. That's the part art, part science thing. Some of it's art. It's like, okay, like maybe the data's saying this, but we feel passionate about this. We're going to try it. And I know you're big on split testing and this sort of thing, but it's like, okay, let's try it. Let's see how if it works or not. And I think that's where it's cool because you get to kind of marry the two together, try some stuff. And when you end up at a business or with an owner of a business who is passionate about it like you are and trying things and is willing to test stuff and fail. Now there's businesses where they're like, you better not fail. Like we're not doing that if it's not going to work. And then you don't ever learn anything. You don't grow. So like I love that that's your philosophy, because I think in marketing as a marketer, that's the only way to be successful.
Yeah, and I want to fail fast.
Right.
Like get it
Right.
out fast, figure
Right.
it out fast. Like it's and even like, on the flip side of the coin, you have people, I see this sometimes, and they just copy what other people are doing. Like, so you have like traditional businesses that forever have done billboards and TV and radio and they don't even do a lot of digital, right?
Yeah.
And then new people will come in and maybe they get some money off of something that they did,
Yeah.
and they just literally just do the same thing.
Right.
Then it comes down in like 6 months because they can't sustain it at the same level as the others.
Yep.
And it's like, and they're wondering, scratching their heads like, how come that didn't work?
Right.
It's like, you got to like also take risks. You got to fail. You got to like be willing to go down a path that others aren't.
Yep.
And test it out. I mean, sometimes that path is going to be a dead end and you just come back.
Sure.
Like you just walk right back and then you go the next way,
I think that speaks though to what we said about authenticity, is like, who are you authentically? Like what is your true value that you want to communicate? Because maybe that makes more sense on one channel versus the other.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just taking what your competitor did or what the business that you aspire to be did, it's like, okay, but now you're just parroting or mimicking what they do, and that's not who you are. So now it doesn't align, and that's why it's not working.
Yeah.
So I think it always goes back to being authentic to like who you are as a person or an institution.
For sure. So you were at Westher, and you guys obviously, I think, the biggest car dealer in the state, and you have stores throughout the state.
Yep.
What do you think is different about the Buffalo market?
Yeah.
And how do you approach that from like a marketing perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because a lot of big auto groups are spread out all over the country. It's like I have a couple stores here, a couple stores here. They're not regionally condensed, which Westher is in Buffalo, Rochester, and one store in Syracuse. So very regionally condensed overall. But I think like if you live here, sort of what makes Buffalo special. So I think we've talked about like, well, what's the difference of hiring like a national vendor or agency and like working with like a big time player versus having an in-house team or even a local agency? And the closer you get to the business at its core, the easier it is to tell that story. And I think like that's where you see the value in having an in-house marketing team, where it might be easier to just be like, I'll just pay this agency to do this thing. So it's like, for us, when I was at Westher, it was like, okay, we're going to talk about the things that people in Buffalo care about. And what do they care about? They care about the Bills. They care about the community here. They care about good food, probably. Like there's certain things that maybe get commercialized that we're like, oh God, here we go again. The same thing, chicken wings or whatever. But there's certain foundational components to Buffalo that makes, Buffalo love, or what people want to say is like the 716 thing. So I think at Westher, we were always trying to differentiate who we were as a company based on our core values, the community, but then also the things that people care about. That's what we would talk about. So I think like if you were to come in and you have like Carvana or one of these big national companies, Lithia Motors, that comes in and they try to just buy a store and supplant themselves here and say, yeah, we're in Buffalo now, we'll give you a competitive price on a vehicle, come on down today. Some people are like, all right, cool, like cheapest car available, I'm going there. But there's other people, a lot of people. The only difference, really, these are commodity products, especially new cars. New cars are a commodity product. You can go to the same place to get a Toyota Corolla here, and here. Price is probably exactly the same. You're going there because of the people that work there, the service, what they do in your community, maybe because they have a football player you like, be their spokesperson, whatever the reason is. That's the differentiator, the customer service they're going to receive. Same thing when you service a vehicle. Used cars are the only sort of anomaly because price is so varied based on that. But the other things, it's really customer service and who the company is, which I think is a big piece of what attracted me here, because there's so many parallels to like, okay, I can get legal representation at a number of places. What's the difference? It's the same fee at the end of the day, but what's the difference? And as you'd say it better than anyone, it's like who we are as people, that we care about. We're gonna do whatever we have to for you. But that's like, okay, I want to go to those guys. Like that's where I want to be represented. And I think that's sort of what we tried to do at Westher in a different way, obviously.
Yeah. We've talked about that. I think like whether it's shopping for a new car, or say choosing, well, in this situation, a personal injury lawyer. If you're shopping for a car, I get it that like maybe it's your first time doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And in your mind, you're probably thinking, I just want the cheapest price and I don't want to get ripped off.
Yep.
And then with a law firm, it's like, who's going to get me the most money?
Yep.
And we know that what happens is once people become a client, they realize there's so much more matters to them than just the most money. I mean, some people honestly get in and then they are like, I don't even care about the most money. I just want this done as quickly as possible.
Sure.
I'm willing to take less. But even if they do want the most money, they realize equally as important is like how they're being treated.
Yep.
Are they being heard? Like, do they have great communication? Do they feel like the people who are representing them, whether they're lawyers or case managers or paralegals or whoever, like actually cares about them and also cares about being the best version of themselves like every single day and getting better every day for them. And it's always, that stuff like obviously, you want to communicate because I think it just becomes sometimes people make the mistake. Like we get calls from people who are represented, like this happens a lot, who are represented by other law firms and they'll call and say, hey, I got this offer on the table. And we can tell that is the maximum offer under the insurance policy. That firm did the right thing by giving the most money, but because there was no communication, they don't feel like those people actually have their best interests in mind. They feel like they're just like another number. They don't trust them, and they're calling other law firms, like trying to switch law firms, even when they got them the most money possible. And it's just a testament to like, how important like service is, whether it's at a car dealership or, at a law firm.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, it feels like at least, everyone who owns a home or whatever has worked on their house. I feel like contractors, things like this nowadays, like landscape, whatever it is, I feel like you have to always advocate for yourself. I can't tell you the number of times since we bought our house where I've had to like where is this thing? Like, you didn't do this thing. Like, oh, sorry. Like, we'll get back. It's like everything feels like a fight nowadays just to get basic customer service. Or they won't get back to you. Like, you're like, but I'm paying you, like, you're not going to do what you said you're going to do. And it seems like so simple, but it's like you said, whether it's a car dealership, whether it's your lawyer, whether it's a landscaper, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. It's like, can we just do like the bare minimum of like customer service? And then it's sad that expectations have become so low that it's like, if you do go above and beyond, you just blow people away. And I think that's what you're seeing here is like, not only do you guys not do the bare minimum, you go so far above and beyond that people are just like, wow, like, okay, like they take a step back. And that's, again, circling all the way back to marketing. Like, that's my job and our job to be like, let me tell you that's what's going to happen here.
Well, it's right. Because think about it, right? Most people don't know how a car is made.
Right.
They don't know, maybe they don't know how to make a pizza. It sounds probably a stupid example, but they don't know what lawyers actually do. But one thing they do know is what great customer service is. Like everybody knows, everyone's had that feeling. Sometimes it's, you don't even suspect it. You go in someplace and just someone gives you great service and you walk out of there and like, that was amazing. I'm going back there.
Right.
And then you talk about it. Right. And it's simple, but also I know you agree, like to always deliver that high level. Like, and we're talking, everyone has their own personal lives. Like, shit goes bad in your life, you're in a bad mood that morning, whatever. But one of the reasons we're so proud of our team is they're able to like leave that at the door and come in and say, we got a job to do. We have to get 1% better every day. We got to deliver better service every single day and maintain that standard. And sadly, I think because that is a difficult thing to do and you need the right people to do it, that's why a lot of businesses are just like, we'll just like do the bare minimum.
And I think too, it depends on what field you work in. So in this field, like I said earlier, where you're dealing with people who are having like horrible things that happen to them or really bad moments in their life, it's like you have to almost concept in your head, like you said, put aside the stuff that's trivial and be like, I gotta be there for these people because they're going through something right now that hopefully you don't have to go through, but if you do, like, we're here for you sort of thing. And I think like it takes a lot though, because we are human beings and everyone does have bad days, or your kid didn't sleep all night, or you're in a fight with your spouse, whatever's going on at home, and you still have to find a way to like do the job. But like I think too often now people are just, whether it's laziness, whatever the reason, they're just not doing that. And I think like that helps people stand out when they do go above and beyond, which is really cool about it.
I agree. So so going back to kind of like the talk about, so you have these stores in Buffalo, and let's talk about just basically, let's say, okay, we know we need a market in Rochester. And Rochester's different than Buffalo.
Yeah, totally.
And I think you'd agree, like a lot of businesses make the mistake of just saying like, well, whatever
Plop
we do
it here.
here,
Yep.
just boom, put it
Yep.
over here.
Yep.
What's your approach to understanding like a new market, maybe even like obviously a market you like maybe you've never lived in,
Right.
like you haven't spent a lot of time in, like how do you make sure that you're tailoring your messaging in a new market?
Yeah, I think it's the research component of it, and I think it's like having people on the ground there. So like for us, when we started acquiring stores, there's over 10 stores now in the Rochester area, and I know you're from Rochester, so it was like understanding from the people that the stores they acquired. It was like, okay, let's get to know the landscape better. And as a marketing team, it was like doing research, whether it's field research or like actually just understanding like how is Rochester different than Buffalo? Because some people just assume like they're like 45 minutes away, like it probably works the same there, and some stuff is transferable for sure, like especially core components of any business, like price or quality or those things are going to work. But it was like, even for us, it was like, all right, like Josh Allen, right, like biggest name out there is affiliated with West Herd, like is he going to play in Rochester the same? And it was like, we found, yes, the Bills still do very well in Rochester because of St. John Fisher and the component of the training camp, and they do have a large following there. But then you go to Syracuse, even further away, and now you're starting to see like people don't really care so much about Josh Allen. There's a lot of Jets and Giants fans in Syracuse. It's a different market. So even like who you choose to partner with or affiliate with, super important if you want to be like an authentic, again, company that is boots on the ground, community driven. It's like, all right, we can't just support local Buffalo nonprofits and charities and things. We got to start doing that stuff in Rochester now to show we live in their community. We back their community. So it's like getting very involved in the community there. And then even further out in Syracuse, it's like getting involved in that. So what you said earlier about like, it's hard, it's not easy to do this stuff. You got to bring it every day, get better. Same thing with like the marketing aspect of it is like, it would be easy to just lean into the pocket of the area you're in where you become the behemoth and you have market share and you have all this stuff. It's like, why don't you just stay in Buffalo and be comfortable? But if you want to push yourself to keep growing and get bigger and become more dominant in the market, it's like, all right, well, now we're going to go to the next market and then the next market. But you got to do it authentically, to your point. Like you can't, I mean, I guess some companies or whatever, like if you're like Coca-Cola, like I guess it's sort of the same thing anywhere you have a Coke, but like if it comes down to a local business and you're driven on customer service versus product, I think that's where it gets into like grassroots efforts in the community, showcasing like you get them. Cause I think we've all been there where you say something as like an outsider and everyone looks at you like, what? Like, like even here, like jokingly, you get brands that come in or ESPN comes in, does a feature and they keep saying buffalo wings like over and over again. Like, nah, no one they say chicken wings. Like if you're from Buffalo, you don't call them buffalo wings. And it's like, that's the tell that you don't really know quite what you're talking about. And we've all seen that. So like, I don't ever want to be part of a brand or a company where we're like trying so hard in another market and we look like frauds basically.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great point. So let me ask you this. So, okay, I'm sure there's going to be people listening or see this wherever and say, well, man, this is a really interesting conversation, but I'm a very small business owner, or I have aspirations to start my own business, but I'm not going to have the type of budget that these guys are talking about to get a Brad Gelber or to execute this type of strategy. If you were talking to like maybe a really small business owner or someone just starting a business, where would you tell them to start? Like from like a building your brand perspective?
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing with social. And that's like when I started working in social at that startup, we were working, I know I mentioned some bigger names, but we were working with some small businesses too. And the cool thing is like everyone thinks social media is free, which if you want to do it the right way, like there is a paid component that takes it a lot further, but it doesn't cost anything to try stuff and to actually create content. Now, is everyone going to see it if you don't have like a paid aspect? Probably not. But like it lets you tell your story now in like the palm of your hand with a phone. Like it's so different than it was even like 10, 20 years ago where it's like you had to pay for a full production to go out and shoot the thing with fancy cameras and lights and all this stuff. Like we can execute at a very high level nowadays with these phones that are very expensive and like basically like a recording studio in your hand. Now, does it look better if you have the nice equipment? Of course. But sometimes it connects more with people if it is just that raw thing on your phone. Like you don't feel like I've said this a ton of times when I've been on podcasts or I've spoke at stuff, it's like people feel like, oh man, I can't keep up with the Peter McKinnon camera or whatever it is. And it's like, no, like you got to understand, people feel sometimes like they're being fed a commercial then. Like if it's overly produced, if it's overly slick, we've all become so smart with that. Like we know to block it out.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like us on our phone, like, and we're just showcasing what's actually happening, a small business can do that. As the owner of the business, you know your business better than anyone.
Yeah.
So it's like you can pull out your phone and start telling your story.
Yeah.
And if people connect with that story, you don't need a big fancy marketing team or me per se. Like obviously, yes, it helps if you know someone that's dialed in or makes, like you said, fast. We'll get it out fast. We'll do it the right way. But that's not to say a small business can't find success. I think that's, to me, one of the coolest things with social media has been like, you don't have to necessarily have a huge budget. Some money goes a long way on social media, and you can still authentically tell your story without being confined by just budgetary or money and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's the key too, right? Like I talk to sometimes small business owners who are like, oh, I'm not into the whole social media thing, and I don't want to do this trend or that trend. But like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. Be like totally true to who you are. Yeah. Like, we joke about it. Like even on this podcast, like I remember someone said to me like, oh, I heard you had somebody on recently and you guys were talking about them basically infusing food with like cannabis. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, and then you swear sometimes and they're like, yeah, because that's how I am.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Like, I mean, I know, you know, I mean, I'm just being myself,
Sure.
right? But that's something though, I'll tell you, it took me a while, longer than it should have, to realize like, you don't need to be that polished.
Yeah.
Like I remember when we started the firm, we would like film anything.
Yeah.
I'd be like rehearsing it in my head and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I look back at those things, I'm like, oh, yikes. Dude, like just say what like, no one cares if like you misspeak or say something wrong, and like you just have a conversation and be yourself.
Totally. And I think like you get it, and that's the difference. And that helps people relate to you. Like at the end of the day, like we talked about earlier, like why would you want to go to this place or this place to work with them? And it's like, okay, because like that you align, and like you can't align with someone who's giving you a facade, or it's like overly rehearsed or whatever. You find out later, you're like, oh man, that's not who they are.
Yeah.
So it's like this stuff allows people nowadays, if they do it the right way, to authentically show that. And I think like that's what you're talking about. Like does everyone go home and never say like curse? No. Like that's just authentically like as a person. Or like do people go home and never flub a word? So it's like, if not, then you go back to this whole thing of feeling like you're being fed like a commercial at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be relatable to anyone.
Yeah, I'm always like, when like Brett and I will be doing stuff or whatever, I'll be like, if this doesn't feel like natural to me, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, or I'm taking it and putting my own spin on it. Like it just because it makes me feel off, like it's not right.
Yeah, and if it feels off to you, what's it going to feel like to people who don't even know you watching it? Then it's like, like that's when the cringe factor comes in. Yeah. And I think we all deal with like watching ourselves on camera. That's like a different thing.
I don't
like
even
you gotta
watch these things, dude.
You gotta just
no
like
way.
listen. But like that's a different hurdle for people to get over. But I think if you can verbalize or communicate authentically, then you're golden there.
So with an industry like marketing, you know, like we're talking a lot like high level stuff about this, but it changes a lot. Yeah. I mean, whether it's AI or trend, I mean, whatever, there's so much changing. How do you stay on top of all that? Yeah.
I think it's consuming it like firsthand. Like I find it funny sometimes where people in marketing are like I don't like to consume marketing because they like feel like they're working all the time then, right? Like that's the fun. I've talked to football players before. I'm like, do you watch football like when you're not playing? And some are like, hell yeah, like I love football. It's like I'll watch it all the time. And there's literally football players I've talked to that I was like, I won't watch football unless I'm watching film, because then I feel like I'm watching film. Like I can't consume football the way that you do as like entertainment. I can watch other sports, but I can't watch football that way because I feel like I'm always working. For me though, like that's where the passion comes into. If I didn't like what I was doing, I don't think I'd be good at it, because then I wouldn't want to ever consume it. So like for social media, or if I look, you know, I'm driving here on the way today and I'm looking at billboards, like while I'm driving, like safely of course, but like I'm like glancing out at like whatever, and like I'm always thinking of like, how does that relate to what I'm gonna go do tomorrow? Or like what I could do in a year from now. Or what can I send John a text message on some crazy idea that I thought of because I saw something here that relates to it. And for me, that's how I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because I'm like constantly just like, now do you have to 100% of the time be thinking about work? No. But like if you do it almost subconsciously, I think that's how I stay on top of this stuff. And then of course reading and doing things like just watching the news, things that matter to like the industry that I'm in. But I think for me, it's actually consuming the content or marketing in general. I think it's funny though, because, we said like, well, then you get in the habit of like duplicating whatever you're seeing, but it's not taking exactly what you see. It's how does it apply to what I want to do or what I don't want to do? Because that's the other piece of it. But back to your question, even like with AI and stuff, it's like, I remember when ChatGPT first came out and it was like everyone was starting to use it. I was like, I don't want to use this. Like I almost felt offended as a marketer, especially because it was just another thing that was going to trivialize marketing and make it seem so easy to do. And now I just ask ChatGPT what my marketing or my social media post should be. And then like all the controversy with the M dash and like, oh, that's going to give it away now. It's like, I actually, a writer, I use M dashes like from my journalism days. Like I'm like, oh great, now everyone's going to think I'm using AI all the time. Like, I'm like, no, like that's just how I write. Yeah. But like, I think for me, there's almost a resistance to it. And then I was like, all right, but like, you gotta start using it here and there. And I've said this to you, what I view AI as a way to be more efficient. I don't view it as a way to replace. Right. And that's the difference, especially within marketing or any field, is like, you still need, back to authenticity. I know people are gonna be sick of hearing it, but it's like, you're not authentic if you're just creating your whole strategy from AI. Like you and I have talked about too, like there's commercials totally AI created, things like that, where it's like, I think we are going to get to a point sooner than later, and we might already be there for some people, where they crave human connection and they are so anti-machine and AI learning all this stuff. And they're like, just give me a person, please. Like we're getting there already. And this stuff hasn't even been mainstream that long, that I think for me, it's like, okay, how can we use it to be more efficient in what we're doing and maybe strategize or brainstorm things we might not think of, but never, ever replace who we are as people or the authenticity with that, just because it's faster, or because then you're going to get into a big trouble.
I agree. Or like, I'm going to do it just because it's AI to show people that I know about AI. And it's like, people, it doesn't land the way people think it does. Not at all.
No.
What do you, I always like asking people about this, especially people who've had a lot of success and have risen up to higher levels in organizations or in their careers. Do you have personal habits that for you are like non-negotiable, like I have to do this every day or every week to have a clear head and be the best at my job or whatever?
Well, I've been a big like gym person since I was graduated from college. Like I found like going to the gym was like a way for me to just like clear my mind, because you almost like can't think of anything else while you're at the gym. Now, of course, between like sets and stuff, you check your phone or whatever, listen to music. But I think like I found that it was as healthy for me physically as it was mentally to have like a healthy release. Because I think when you don't have a healthy release, that's when you get into the possibility of having an unhealthy release. Because other things that just help you escape from struggles or stress or whatever. So for me, like the gym was something that became like a really big piece of my life, and also like nutrition hand in hand with that, because it just like made me feel better, like made me feel good physically, but also mentally. So that's something that has been a big part of my life now since I graduated. But I think it goes back to what we said earlier too, is like for me, I'm constantly just like finding passion in what I'm doing. And I think that's one of the hardest things we can do as like professionals. It's so easy to get into a job where you're like, well, the pay's pretty good, or the benefits are pretty good, or I have my family at home, so I'm just gonna, keep the grind going. And of course, everyone has days where no matter where you work, there's a grind. But I think for me, like the fact that I can get excited about what I'm doing has made my career that much more enjoyable and helped me get better and move up. Because if I didn't like what I was doing, like I don't want to do it anymore. So I think like at work, that's something. And I'm also, I'm a very like organized person when it comes to like, I'm like old school. Like I like writing things down. Like to me, it's like sad, but it's like there's such satisfaction. What is it? Satisfaction.
You got
it. In crossing something off a list.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
Like if you can just like etch it out, like I feel so good after that, because like I love making lists. Like this is super nerdy, but like back in college, I used to like make the, and only a few people know this, I'd make these like schedules like based on whatever classes I had to take, and I would make alternatives of the schedule. So I'd have like 16 alternates, because you'd have to go in, they would open enrollment like at whatever time, 9 a.m. You had to be on, and the classes would fill up like this.
Oh yeah.
So if you didn't get in, you weren't in that class. So I had to have a backup plan. And then I was like, oh crap, what if I have like 10 backup plans? So I can just reference my guide real quick. And it got so crazy to the point where my buddy was like the most unorganized like slob in the the world. And he's like, dude, can you just register my classes for me? So then I'm making like schedules for my friend. And like, I don't know what it was, the organization of it. I just like loved it. And like, I think that's why I like fantasy football now too, because like I actually love and hate both in both ways fantasy football, because it's like very stressful to me, but I also like get satisfaction out of it. But it's like drafting or the weekly lineups or like looking at the waiver wire. Even if my team's set, I'm like, but what if I had signed this person to my team? Like, how does it all work together? So I think that's just like how my mind works with these lists and things. But way back to your original question, with a list, I just love making lists and actually being able to like feel accomplished, like cross stuff off the list. And then maybe like, you know, maybe at some point it's like, all right, I don't need to make a list for everything, but the stuff that's important for me helps me stay organized. And then I feel like I can go about my day and figure out, all right, what do we need to tackle today? What are we going to tackle this week, this month, and this year? And sort of building out that way is really good for me mentally. And it's how I think I do well in any situation I'm in.
Let me ask you, I like asking people this question sometimes, just made me think of this. What's greater for you? Your hatred of losing or your love of winning?
That is a good question. I think my love of winning is greater because I'm not afraid to lose, because I think it teaches you something. And what you said earlier, like failure to me is scary for sure, like no doubt. But I think that when you fail, there's like a lesson in it. And like you can try to not do it again or learn more the next time. But when you win at something, it's like, okay, it all worked together that time. And sometimes it's environmental. Like sometimes it's even beyond your control if you win at something or not. Maybe it's just the situation, and like any other time you would have won at something, but just in that situation, that environment, you didn't win. So I think when you do win, everything could go right for you. But when you lose, it doesn't mean like you did a bad job in it. Always. Sometimes we did. But I think when we lose, we can still take something from it. So that's just me personally. Yeah,
everyone answers it differently. I love asking that question. What do you think, when you think back on, you know, your career to this point, what do you think has been maybe like your greatest professional failure? And what did you learn from it, and how did that kind of change your trajectory? Yeah,
I think my greatest professional failure, one of that would have been, like I said, when I went into media, like working at a TV station. I think I went in thinking like, hey, if I go do this thing, I'm going to be on like the 11 o'clock news, like talking about sports in like a year. And you don't know like all the politics that go into like being on TV or doing this stuff. And I like learned quickly, like, man, like I thought I loved this stuff. I hate it. Like I hate it. Like I remember I was sitting in the newsroom, like it was like whatever, 9:30. I was trying to prep for a newscast that, by the way, I was put in a role, like no way I should have been in that role that quickly. Like I was promoted into like, I was like the producer of the 11 o'clock news, which is one of the most prestigious like things you can do in news. I had been working in news for like less than a year. I was very good at presenting myself and talking. So I was like, talked them into like, then I got there and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like I was sitting down with other producers and they're like trying to show me on the fly what to do and how to build a rundown. And this goes here. I was like, oh my God. And like in the news, if you do poorly or it's not prepared, the people on TV have nothing to read and they're staring at a live red light like, it's the 11 o'clock news and welcome. And then it's like blank. So like if you screw that up, like you better, they're going to kill you, those people. So like, I was like, oh my God, like I don't even know what I'm doing. And then I realized quickly, like, I hate this. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, that goes back to what we said. Like if you are in the right thing and you feel passion, deadlines and being all that stuff's exciting. It's fun. If you have no idea what you're doing and you hate it, you're like, get me out of here. Like I could not wait to get out of that role. Like I was like, I get it's prestigious. It sounds good publicly to tell people this. It's probably good for my career in media if that's what I want. But I so quickly realized that was not for me, not right. I wasn't ready for that yet. I was so young still that I think it was in the sense of professional failure that I had to admit, like, I can't do this right now. Like, not good. Like, see ya. I'm not doing this. But then it allowed me to get back into marketing and realize, okay, I missed this. If I hadn't stepped away from marketing for a bit, I think we all have this tendency to like sometimes feel stuck or whatever, and early in your career especially. And I feel like that allowed me to come back like invigorated to like start at West Hurt and really find my footing in marketing. So again, I know it's sort of a cheated answer, but I'm like, it was my biggest failure, but it helped me like pivot into something that was ultimately a win for me.
That makes sense. Okay, so I just have a couple more questions for you. We're both recent new dads.
Mm-hmm.
I know it has changed you without even asking.
Totally.
What is the number one way it has changed you?
I think that I know you said this on Instagram, so I don't want to steal what you said, but it definitely helps me look at the world differently.
Yeah.
100%. Like I think you said how you view people.
Yeah.
It's like for you, what changed? For me, like I think about this all the time. Like I'm so driven in my work, like to me, and I know you're the same way, like what makes you excellent, but it's like the end all be all was work. It's like nothing can get in the way of that. Like I'm married, like my wife would kill me, but like even with being married, it's different. It's like you still, they're your equal, like they're your spouse, but they support you in your endeavors with work. And like, yeah, sometimes they're pissed when you get home really late or whatever, but like it's different. And then you have a baby and you're like, not that you don't care about anything else, but it's just not on that level anymore. There's a new level you didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And that's what it is with being a dad now. And like, there's a lot of stress that comes with being a new parent for sure. Like, I don't think anyone can prepare you for that. Like they tell you stuff or you hear it or you don't know, but then you have a baby and like you go home. I remember people saying, my parents told me like, you're gonna get home, you sit down with Steph and like put the baby down from the hospital and you'll be like, all right, now what do we do?
Yeah.
Like should we make a bottle or like changes your diaper? Or, like, what do you do? And it's like, nothing can prepare you for it. So then when it's there, it's like, there's a lot that's stressful, a lot that's scary. Like you think you're gonna like kill the baby every day. Like no matter what you do, you're gonna break them. Something's gonna happen. They're way more durable than anyone tells you to. But then like recently, he's like 4.5 months. I know I said that before. His name's Henry. But where they're starting to take on a personality now. Like he's starting to smile all the time. He like grabs my face. He grabs my fingers. Like he's like cooing and making all these noises, like almost like a conversation. Last night he like wouldn't go to bed, and I was like, I don't know what made me do this. He was like getting like fussy in the rocking chair. So I just started like slowly talking like in his ear, like gibberish, like nonsense. He's like laughing, like Steph's like trying to go to sleep. He's like giggling. She's like, what's going on over there? And like literally within 5 minutes he had his bottle and was out. And I was like, it worked. Like whatever it was, you just like make stuff up on the fly.
100%.
And for me, like that joy now I feel like of interacting with him as he's starting to become like not just a baby anymore, like a person. Like, man, like I know people say like you don't know like until you know, and like now I know.
Like, for sure. I would echo all that, and I've hit like layered into what you said is something too, is like you feel like you're on this trajectory in your career and you're like, I am like moving, I'm moving. And then you have the baby, and as hard as it is, like you feel like supercharged. Like I have another level, that I didn't even know I had. And it's like, ooh.
And I think like the going back to like the whole time, you and I have said this before, you've told me this, like timing's everything. Like, and it is, I truly believe in that. And like the fact that like you came to me when you did was a scary time for me because I just had a baby, but it was also the perfect time to be like, yes, this is the time to take a leap on something new and just keep going, like rocket fuel, like let's just fly here. And like that all plays a part like in life and career and everything. And I think like having a baby can either make you like very scared of everything in the world, or it can make you feel like I just got to go take it all on. Like it depends how you approach things. But for me, similar to you, I was like, all right, you want the world for your family and your baby and all that sort of thing. So you're like, I'm going to go work as hard as I can to make that happen for them.
For sure. I think this is a good place to end it, but I want to build up your Twitter following even more. Where can people find you on X, I should say?
It's Bradley Gelber. Everything, every social channel I'm on. Hopefully soon you'll find me on all of Richmond Vona's social channels too. Now that I'm here,
we're not giving away anything that we're doing.
But you can find me pretty much anywhere. And I'm much less just like sports media guy anymore now. I'm more like career dad, like Buffalo dude, I guess now. But I still give my hot takes on X here during Bills games and stuff. So.
Awesome. All right, man. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me, and I'm excited for everything to come.
Hell yeah. We're just getting started.